continue to order please rise and face the flag and move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The school board will convene to close executive session tonight to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or evaluation data under any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility under Wisconsin statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C. And with that, we will move to
Okay, we're moving to Leadership Council presentation.
got a presentation from the Leadership Council. Lots of people here tonight. Here we are.
So with us today are a couple of our members from our Student Athlete Leadership Council. This was a group that was established. This is our third year of it now. As the athletic director, I'm one of the advisors. Mr. Showski is also one of the advisors, and Ms. Spetz serves as one of the advisors. Some of our members would like to introduce themselves and let you know how long they've been with the council.
My name is Rekak Ransky, and I've been with the Leadership Council my freshman and sophomore year.
My name is Daniel Castillo, and I've been in Leadership Council for 1 year.
My name is Neil Marikla, and I've been with Leadership Council for 2 years.
My name is Addison Chesky. I've been with the Leadership Council for 2 years.
And my name is Libby Ash. I've been with the Leadership Council for 3 years.
So, you know, when we were formed the year basically after COVID. And so this council itself was started because we had Steve Jones come, who is a pretty renowned high school football coach out of Kimberly, many state championships, but he's also a great motivational speaker. And so we had brought him to our school to basically kind of pump up our staff, our parents, our athletes, and we had a big beginning of the school year kind of meeting to kind of motivate and inspire people to get us ready to get back into the swing of things. And one of the things Steve Jones is really known for is his leadership council that he established when he was at Kimberly. And this was basically, he has a certain group of football players when he was the head coach that were representatives of all grades, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, and they were the leadership council. And he really emphasized student-led teams, not coach-led teams. And establishing strong culture. And it's the athletes that can help to establish this culture. It's not solely the coach's responsibility to do this. And so we kind of took that idea and said, well, we can't do it for a specific team. We want to impact the entire athletic culture. And so we took his idea and kind of created our own Student Athlete Leadership Council. And this is where we are at, okay? So for us, we saw that there was a couple needs. Coaches often felt that leadership was reserved for just the upperclassmen, and we didn't want that to be the case in our culture. We wanted everybody to feel that there was a role for leadership. Also coming out of COVID, we noticed that choosing to do hard things was things that our kids maybe don't like to do. We also noticed it as adults. So choosing hard isn't easy. So how do you handle hard better? These students need tools to be able to do that and to be expected to lead their teams. So we wanted to be able to help provide that. Also, we wanted to just continue to help improve the athletic culture. One of the things Steve Jones would emphasize is that the culture within your school, within your teams, within your department, it's either growing or dying, right? And we wanted to be part of a culture that was growing. And so we felt that equipping our student athletes was the best route to help establish a strong culture.
So purpose here is pretty simple and straightforward. To prepare student athletes to be leaders, provide student athletes with leadership training and opportunities, and then to inspire those student athletes to lead themselves, their team, and their school. And I know Mrs. Tank has referenced Mr. Jones a couple times. He had told a story they were at a state tournament game for football, and they were down at halftime, and they weren't supposed to be down at halftime. But they were down, and he was saying he was kind of taking it all in, thinking about how he was going to inspire the players, what they was going to talk about at halftime. And he said while he was doing this, one of his leaders on his team stopped the players before they went into the tunnel, and the players spoke, the leaders of that team spoke, and he said it was better than anything he could have done. So, you know, a great goal for us, and this doesn't happen automatically, and this isn't an easy thing, but is to transition that leadership, that ability to communicate and motivate from coaches to players, because they're the ones that are going to have the most clout with the other kids on the team. No matter how good the coach is, it's the players are going to be able to support and reinforce and motivate the rest of their team. So just that's something that always stuck in my mind, and I think it's a great reason that we are working on leadership here at Sevastopol.
Who are we? So the Leadership Council contains all high school grades. There are about 15 to 20 male and female student athletes who voluntarily committed themselves to better learn what a leader needs and should do. The requirements to become a member is to be a student athlete who wants to better themselves as a leader.
We attend bi-monthly meetings, help brainstorm and plan activities, and last thing, most importantly, lead by example. The goal of our group is to improve ourselves as student leaders, discussing and learning about ways to be excellent and overcome adversity that may hold back the ability and desire to lead and be a strong role model of a true pioneer.
Okay, what do we do? So as a leadership council, we do many things. Some examples are we do group book studies on leadership topics. We plan, organize, and lead special events. We discuss topics that are relevant to our athletic department culture, and we serve our team and school as leaders.
So over the last 3 years, okay, the first 2 we've done some book studies. So in year 1 we used Steve Jones' book, Twin Thieves. In year 2, throughout our entire year, we used Chop Wood, Carry Water to discuss greatness. And then this year our group focused on mindsets.
Yeah, so the first year we used the Twin Thieves book, and you know, it was a great starting point for the Leadership Council because it kind of helped establish the culture and the kind of the foundation to what we would build on the following year and then what we're working on this year. The Twin Thieves is really a focus on a fear of failure and a fear of judgment. And you know, as an adult, I think we all probably still recognize that those are big fears. And for kids, it's, you know, maybe tenfold, just because they have peers that a lot of times they are worried about what they think of them. So for our young athletes and students here to be prepared and to be leaders, to be able to handle that fear of failure and judgment, that's a huge ask for them, and this book provided a good foundation for that. Everyone wants a championship team until it's time to do a championship team require. Everything starts with your people. These are all just kind of parts to the Twin Thieves book. When opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. How teams bonded by love, build togetherness, toughness to combat fear. And I won't read the last of those, but each week we try to take a chapter or 2 and focus on these different parts of the story. And I don't know, I feel like that year things really flowed really well for us.
So then in our second year, we read together Chop Wood, Carry Water, and the premise basically of this book is there's a gentleman, he's about 18 years old, and he wants to become a samurai archer. And he gets connected with a sensei, and he already thinks he knows a lot about archery, and he finds out that he really truly doesn't. And it's a lot of the little teeny things that you have to do. The Chop Wood, Carry Water, the consistency in the little things that actually make you great. And he got very discouraged every time he worked with his sensei, but he learned that consistency in the little things makes a really big difference. And I think a lot of times, you know, our athletes, we lose interest in those. We get disinterested, we get disengaged, but the consistency in the little things is really important. And throughout this book, he learned about things that he needed to do in order to become great and in order to become excellent. And that's something we want for all of our student athletes and leaders especially is, this isn't easy. It's going to be really hard. And so how do you respond when things get hard? And it's okay. You can push through, and being uncomfortable is actually, it's a good thing. And then this year, we took a little different turn and we said, we're not gonna do the books anymore. We wanted to kind of keep it fresh for the kids. And so mindset. This was something that kind of, in talking to coaches, also seemed like another thing maybe we needed to discuss with our student athletes. I think a lot of times as coaches and in the athletic world, we focus so much about what's below the shoulders, but really it's what's above the shoulders that really makes the athlete. And that's what we really wanted to focus on, is that mental toughness side of things. And really, truly, in a nutshell, just what you feed yourself is what's going to grow. Okay, so we've just kind of done various different topics as advisors that we've shared with athletes really just throughout the year on the topic of mindset. And we kind of just listed those there for you.
The only thing I'd add, Mrs. Tink, to that is at the end of the year, Mrs. Tink sends out a kind of a questionnaire for the participants of the leadership committee to see what are some things that you personally feel like need to be addressed. And then that's a little bit how we pick and choose this year, how we pick and chose what we felt was important based on what our responses were from the previous year.
Our accomplishments. As the only leadership council in the Packland Conference, we have strived to make a difference in our community. Every year, the Leadership Council works to raise money and recognize different groups throughout our community. Over the past 3 years, we have raised over $1,000 in our Cash for a Cause event for Helga Bob. We've run 50-50 raffles, helped at the Hall of Fame dinner both years, had a teacher appreciation night, a first responders appreciation night, and a bus driver appreciation night. We have recognized refs before our games. We've run trivia nights, created sportsmanship expectation posters, and planned theme nights.
One of the largest topics of discussion in the last 3 years has been proper sportsmanship throughout our sports teams. This involves respecting refs, opposing teams, and other student sections. We learned about how important it is to cheer for our teams rather than against the other team. After incidents in the past outlining sportsmanship, our council found it of the utmost importance to do our part in keeping sporting events a positive place to be.
So I think obviously the big benefit for us is just giving these athletes confidence to go out and lead their teams and better themselves. These athletes would each like to share just something they feel they've benefited from as being a member of the Leadership Council.
So through Leadership Council, we have gained many different tools to become a better leader. One example is the importance of building relationships within a team with our coaches and also our teammates, and also to value the input of everyone around you. Communication is key to a smooth running team, even if it is difficult at times. It is okay to be uncomfortable.
One of the benefits I've had from Leadership Council comes from the fact that anybody in high school can be a part of it. It helps us learn that leadership isn't just meant for upperclassmen and that anyone on a team can contribute to the culture.
A lot of us have gained confidence to become a more vocal type of leader. We talked about how leading by example is not enough and that's just what's expected of you. So we learned that we need to be more of a vocal leader to be true.
One of the many benefits I've learned from being involved in the Leadership Council is learning about culture and what it means to have an excellent culture. Some examples of a good culture are good student leadership, high level of sportsmanship, and a high standard for excellence.
Another great benefit is coming out with a different mindset. For example, as I learned, I used to keep my feelings into like games and practices, but after coming out of this, I found that not letting your feelings get in your way of your decisions and having a mindset that positively influences those around you is a better way to go.
So, I think just ultimately, in the end, our job as leaders is to help equip other leaders. This is what we want. This is what we want in our pioneers that leave Sevastopol. They leave here with some better tools to go out and influence and impact the rest of the world and all the teams that they participate on. So I think it's been a great experience for these athletes, and we look to continue this at Sevastopol each year. So thank you, and thank you. Thank you.
They're all leaving.
I think that's excellent.
Preparing leaders for the future. And if you can write anything down, remember this. Culture eats strategy for lunch. So you have the
Mr.
greatest
Ward,
strategy.
as you continue with your group, Mr. Ward would like you to remember this.
Strategy, culture, the importance of culture. It eats strategy for lunch. You can have the greatest strategies in the world, but if the people who you are leading, if you don't have a great culture with them, it's for naught. So culture is huge. So thank you very much and good luck to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You all do a great job of representing your teams. We next have a presentation on esports.
Mrs. Schumacher, the some students called update the esports, which is later on the agenda as well.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so we're going to talk to you about esports tonight. Esports is actually something I've been thinking about here. I've talked to Mr. T about it years ago. So something I've kind of been thinking about for quite a while. So tonight, it's Mrs. Schumacher, who's a high school English teacher, if you don't know her. I'm Mr. Phillips. This is that teacher. We also have some students that are going to help us present tonight. Jackson Rankin, Cindy Peterson, and Olivia. She's not presenting anymore? Okay, we have some students in support. I did want to just kind of do a little introduction, okay, about, because, there's been, there's a lot of negative stuff about video games out there, and honestly, that it's a mindless waste time, or that it's super addictive. Everyone that plays video games is going to get addicted, and that people that play video games are never going to lead a productive life. Does this sound familiar? Right? Well, this right here, I wrote this this was my master's program. So this is my thesis paper, and the title on this is
Video games in the classroom.
Okay, so I have had a little history with this subject, all right? I didn't just think about doing this just last night, so I've been thinking about this for a while. But, and what I found out by doing all this research is that video games actually don't rot people's brains. Believe it or not, there's actually some benefits to video games out there, even in education, okay? Believe it or not. Back when I played games, it was Pac-Man, Pong, Space Invaders. It was smash the little button. You had one button and a joystick, right? There was a lot of brain power there, right? Today's games are a little different, everybody. If you haven't played a video game in a while, it's a little different. My son plays video games that are so complicated, I honestly cannot mentally keep up with everything that's going on. I mean, it is just, some of the games are very mentally challenging. Today's games are team-based, multiplayer. They have sophisticated missions with unlimited outcomes. You have infinite possibilities, infinite strategies, infinite possibles. Today's games allow us to put ourselves in new situations with unique problems that we wouldn't otherwise be able to deal with. That's why the military uses it to train pilots and those types of things, because they can train and not get hurt. We've been using video game technology. We're using it in medication. Doctors are performing surgery with controllers, Xbox controllers. So, the games that we play in esports leagues require cooperation, communication, both before, planning ahead, and during the matches. They also require a lot of critical thinking, like I was already kind of describing, in order to make plans and strategies in order to compete. It's pretty widely accepted that people that are involved in technical careers today most everybody has been involved in gaming at some point in their lives. And those people, believe it or not, have gone on to lead productive lives. As I have, as Mr. T has, as Mr. Schumacher has, okay? We also have several students in high school who have built their own PCs, computers, before they were old enough to drive, just so they could play on a better machine. I didn't build my first PC until I was 45. When did everybody here build their first PC?
26.
We had punch cards.
Now, what do you think motivates people to do that stuff? Play games. And look at all the learning they did. Look at me and Mr. T. We're in technology. Why do you think that is? A lot of it is because we play video games and that, just learning how to do it better. I mean, it's motivation. So that's the thing. The fact is that video games are good carrots for many students, and that it helps them feel more positive. And if it helps them feel more positive about going to school, or motivates them into thinking about a future career, isn't that a good thing? Okay, that's what I want to say before we get there. So, go ahead.
What are electronic sports or esports? Esports is a form of competitive video gaming where players or teams compete at a professional level in organized tournaments or leagues. It has gained popularity for its unique blend of skills, strategies, and entertainment. Some benefits of esports include providing career opportunities for professional players, fostering skill development in areas such as strategic thinking and teamwork, creating a global community of players and fans, increasing recognition for gamers as athletes, attracting sponsorship from various industries, promoting social interaction and community building, driving innovation in gaming technology, and offering entertainment for both players and spectators.
Why students want to have a Sevastopol team? It's something else to look forward to when we go to school. It's able to play high-end gaming computers that not a lot of people have access to at home, especially in small communities. You were able to compete with other schools. I have friends in Sturgeon Bay that also are in the esports team there, and I play with them on the weekends, and I have fun with them. So to play against them, but with the pride of my school on my back, it'd be fun. Lots of other schools have it, like I just said. Sturgeon Bay is one of them. I know that Algoma was working on it, and then you're able to compete for scholarships, prizes, and money for our school. So our benefits it helps more than just us. It can help people all around us too.
So I don't know if you noticed that was a Wisconsin high school league, and it's Barron, little town of 3,000, playing against Valders. That's one nice thing about this league too, is that you can have big schools, little schools playing against each other, teams made up of girls and boys. I mean,
No transportation either.
we'll get to that.
Benefits of esports. There's a global community. Esports has a diverse and global community bringing together players and fans from around the world. It allows people to connect, compete, and share their love for gaming regardless of geographical boundaries. Development and skills. Competitive gaming requires Competitive gaming requires strategic thinking, quick decision-making, teamwork, and hand-eye coordination. Engaging in esports can help players develop and enhance these skills, which can be valuable in various aspects of life. Increased recognition. Esports has gained mainstream recognition and acceptance, with professional players becoming celebrities in their own right. This increased visibility has helped elevate the status of gaming as a legitimate form of entertainment and competition. Opportunities and sponsorship. Esports tournaments and events attract sponsors from various industries looking to reach the large and engaged audience of gamers. The influx of sponsorships has contributed to the growth and sustainability of esports industry. Community and social interaction. Esports provided a platform for like-minded individuals to come together, form communities, and engage in social interaction. It fosters friendship, collaboration, and shared experience among gamers. Innovation and technology. Esports drives innovation in gaming technology, hardware, and software. The competitive nature of esports pushes developers to create cutting-edge games and solutions that enhance the overall gaming experience. Entertainment and spectatorship. Esports events are not only exciting for the players, but also for the spectators. Fans enjoy watching high-level gameplay, rooting for their favorite teams, and experiencing the thrill of intense competition. In conclusion, esports offers a worldwide range of benefits for players, fans, sponsors, and gaming industry as a whole. It has established itself as a major player in the world of sports and entertainment, continuously growing and evolving to meet the demands of a rapidly expanding audience.
So the specific educational benefits of esports, it's very inclusive, co-ed. Almost anyone can participate. People who have injuries, disabilities, or people who just like gaming. It's pretty much open to a lot of people. It engages students who may not otherwise participate in school athletics or type of activities. It's very flexible. People who need sports couldn't go to a practice for it. It's online, so you can practice whenever you want. And it's a high student interest. I've personally had 4 or 5 people see my name on the banner that we put up and come up to me, and they were really excited for me to present this and try to bring it to Sevastopol. Newfound offering a wide variety of STEM careers, as Mr. Phillips talked about. Computer programmers, electrical engineers, and physicists. It's all kind of tied together. STEM careers are in high demand and high paying. Cross between players in STEM interests, and over 50% of esports students go on and pursue majors in STEM fields.
So these are the major leagues that we're looking at, hopefully maybe participating in. The top one is Wisconsin High School Esports Association. So obviously that would be just in from teams inside the state of Wisconsin, like that other banner that we had there. They have fall and winter and spring seasons, so we have few seasons every year. I think all of them have the same fall, winter, and spring seasons. Then the next one is Play DS. The last one is Vanta. They're kind of similar with the games that they play.
They're all free.
And they're all free. And you're going to talk more about the cost on the separate ones. They are all free to join now. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. And then, so there are some of the costs that we are not going to have, okay, if we do any sports. We won't have buses, bus drivers, referees, uniforms, and we've also talked to Mr. T, and he assures us that we can use the school switch and everything, so we're all good with all that. I also kind of was forward thinking in some grant writing I was doing, and I kind of already got the money already for the computers, and we're ready to go with that part. And some Nintendo Switches. So we've already got a lot of the money already done for this. So that's, yeah.
The costs that we do have. So all of the leagues are currently free to join. A little bit of background about me, I used to coach esports at Cedar Grove, Belgium. And at the time of my coaching at Cedar Grove, the leagues were not free to join. So we spent thousands of dollars. But because over the past couple of years, esports has become more and more competitive, the leagues are actually competing with themselves. And so they're now all free, which is really exciting to see for us. The Wisconsin League, when it started out, it was basically just this ragtag team of schools, and they are now communicating with WIAA to make this a legit Wisconsin-sanctioned league. So that's really exciting to see. Most of the games are free to play. So what you have to do, and if anyone gets confused about anything, you sign up for an Epic account, and then you play through an Epic account, which is also free. So Epic is free. And then the games that I have listed there are free on Epic. And what we'll do is we'll have designated student accounts so that it is monitored through the school and through Mr. T. There are games that do require money, in particular when Nintendo is still kind of digging their heels in. So to play online with Nintendo, it's $20 a year to have an online gaming pass. So that's a cost, that's $20 a year.
Is that per student or per school?
Per device.
Per device.
Per device.
Yes, so if we had 4 Nintendo Switches, that would be $80 a year for our students to connect and play Nintendo games online. So Nintendo games that are offered include Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, if anybody's played that with family members. And those are the really popular ones. I included the price of Super Smash Brothers at full cost. So that currently, if I'm buying it brand new, is $60. But you can oftentimes find it on sale in different gaming packages, or you can get it used from like GameStop or something like that. But I wanted to have the higher end of the prices up there for budgeting purposes. So an estimate for gaming costs would be about $200. If something breaks on a PC, if a fan goes out, or if a graphics card needs to get replaced, Mr. Phillips can fix the PCs, but we might have to have some cost on parts and supplies because these are high-end machines, and so they need maintenance. And then I did include co-advisors on there. I wasn't entirely sure where to go with that. Mr. Phillips and I are incredibly flexible. Time is definitely, it's a time commitment, but as somebody who's coached esports before, I've seen the passion from my students, and I've seen the students that it's brought in to school events who don't necessarily have that connection to school. So if I sound like I'm getting emotional, it's because I'm so incredibly passionate about this particular opportunity for students. One of the points that we had earlier was about how it actually helps improve student academic performance. And again, that's because it's pulling in a demographic who maybe doesn't always feel like they have a place and a home at school. And now they not only have a place and home in school, but they have a team. And they have teammates who are reaching out to them, who are encouraging them. They now have a coach who's checking in on them where maybe they didn't before. Kids play video games. Kids love video games. And so instead of having them play them at home, having them play them at school. And we give them that structure. And we build that community and that camaraderie, and it's a beautiful thing.
So instead of playing at home in your bedroom, you're playing here socially
Yes.
with other students.
Yes.
And you're dealing with kids across the country too.
Yeah. So in my previous experiences coaching it, we were playing against students as far as Alabama. And one day I was communicating with the coach. I was like, why aren't you guys squaring up? Why aren't you here? And they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't forfeit. We have a hurricane happening. So you deal with things like that. It's a really flexible program because then instead of him forfeiting, we just rescheduled. And we were able to play on a different weeknight, which is also a really nice benefit of it, is that flexibility. But yeah, so instead of playing at home in their room or in their basement, they're playing at school and they're getting that support.
And it'll be after school, or
Yes.
maybe at lunch or whatever, not like obviously during school. And they have to meet all the athletic, if they're gonna participate, they still have to meet the athletic code and all that stuff, so they still have to get good grades and all that.
Totally. I've had 2 students get recruited by colleges, one for playing Rocket League and the other one for playing Valorant. So colleges are watching these esports leagues, and they are reaching out to students who are doing really well. In particular, they're really excited to see more and more female participation. And so, because typically STEM and video gaming is more male dominated, when we have female students who are doing really well, they reach out and they're offering them more opportunities to get into STEM. And that was what we had on cost, and I kind of led right into my conclusion. But what questions do you have? Because it is kind of new. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
How many kids on the team or how many are in the group?
So it depends very specifically on what game you're playing. So if we're playing, let's say, Rocket League, you have 3 students per team. They're playing 3 versus 3. But we can actually have as many teams of 3 as we want. And because the league is free, you can keep doing that. So if we have 4 teams of 3, we can have that many students competing, as long as we have the hardware set up for that.
How many students do you anticipate would be interested?
Just from casual conversation with students, I would guess we'd have about 20.
20?
I think 20 would be a pretty safe guess.
Thank you.
As far as, so they weren't free and now they're free. When they weren't free, what was the cost? And do you anticipate it remaining that way, or are they gonna, in a few years, charge again?
I think it's going to stay free now that they've made that jump. It was initially $3,000 for Play VS for a year-long pass with unlimited seats. And then it became $1,500 if you registered early. And so they were already playing with some of these gaming, or not gaming, excuse me, financial kind of, how do we keep people in our league? And I've watched it go down. I think it'll stay free with how competitive it is right now. Because we included just the high school leagues. There's also leagues out there that are geared, like European leagues, there's college leagues. It's a big world.
So their advantage to keep it free is they're going to get future programmers and designers for this,
Yeah.
which is worth millions to them.
Well, as they get more organized too, they'll get more advertisers and that kind of thing too, so.
Oh, which also reminded me, one of the things, I forget if it was Cindy or Jackson talked about, is spectators. We can live stream the competitions, so people anywhere can watch them. And so even grandparents, in Florida can go online and watch their grandkids compete. And these might be grandkids who have never competed in anything before for various reasons.
We can live stream each other's, the both teams that.
Yeah, and you're streaming it.
So do you think there are so many things for Sevastopol kids to do? Is this going to draw kids away from
I don't think so.
athletics or some of those other?
I don't think so, because in a lot of ways it's a different demographic of student. It's a student who currently isn't engaged, in most cases. Now, Sydney and Jackson are both very engaged, and the reason that they're here speaking is because of who they are.
So then when would you practice? You're in football?
I'm in,
basketball?
football, baseball.
So when would you practice this?
We talked today about how your physical sport comes first because everything is online, so it's easier to schedule something so when it would work for you.
And when are you looking to start this?
Kind of fall.
Okay. So you said costs about $200 and then some miscellaneous parts.
And I'm pretty good at coming up with money. So I'm not.
Are the advisors looking, it says there's advisors, but are the advisors looking to get paid? What's that?
I'm not really, it's never been a big driver for me.
There should be some sort of stipend for the number of hours that are put in. I don't know exactly how many hours we're talking, so when you frame it with the other stipends you have altered, it's gotta be
So something for you.
proportional.
So something for you to look
Because
at
all our other
summer.
advisors and questions, it should be factored in.
And I respect that, but if the option becomes, no, we don't want esports because no on the advisor payroll, I'd rather have esports.
Yeah, so.
I'm not suggesting we'd say no, I'm just trying to
So
flush
what are the
out,
other,
I'm just trying to flush out all the questions.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I think if we sanction this, say yes to it, it's later on the agenda, right?
Mhm.
But I think then the advisor here should be stipend, just like where it becomes a poor, and it's not right.
Yeah, no, like a couple comments, not really questions, because luckily I was on a development team for Air Force software for aircraft and all the new drones. And we partnered with gaming companies, and we expect, retired now, but the Air Force expects our new incoming Air Force people to have a higher level of gaming skills. So I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with all the benefits of it, so it's a good idea.
This message was from an adult who I would think would have not been interested in this, but she said, find it. Esports is really a thing, lots of colleges have it. Carol even gives kids scholarships for it.
I took my daughter on college campus visits last year, or 2 years ago now, and I was walking through these big esports rooms, and I'm like, what is this? Where the kids play, and that school, I think it was lacrosse, or somewhere else, I don't know. They give scholarships for kids, and more than one. I mean, and the other thing we talked about, just for dollars, this goes in. This is backed by $1 billion industry, people, right? So this is it's smart. It's the future. A lot of our kids can support their families for the rest of their life in that industry. So I'm kind of an advocate for what you're trying to accomplish.
And I still miss Pong. And then when double Pong came out, it was like, oh my God, we can play 2 of these at once.
Well, these kids will be able to handle all these self-driving cars that are going to be on the streets.
They can do anything.
I know that the freshman class specifically went to NWTC this year, and we were split up into groups, but my group was able to go through the gaming room, and it was crazy. Like, it was nothing like I've ever seen before. It was really cool.
I'm on their board. I heard their presentation.
And Lisa, a valid point. All 3 of my kids played sports all the time, and trust me, they're on the game a lot. So, yeah, I mean, they'll figure that out.
So if the board has more questions, ask them. Otherwise, does someone want to make a motion to move this item forward on the agenda so we can make it?
Second.
And the other thing I want to say, we have a new board secretary, Kaylee Sinclair. So she's new, so I'm going to ask that people recite the motion. So moved. Recite the motion.
So I make a motion that we move this item forward on the agenda for action.
And I second it.
Okay, there's a forward by Warwick, second by Today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Did you capture all that?
And
You tell
Kaylee,
us
if
to
we're
slow down.
moving too fast or something, you just speak up.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay.
We go to whoa.
Okay, so then is there a motion on this matter?
And we'll take a motion about it. Okay.
I move that the school supports setting up an esports club
Second.
For next school year.
for fall. I'm sorry, for fall. As recommended, yeah.
Motion by Kakorinsky, second by Today. Are there further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, then we have our brave architect.
Brady's been here 100 times. That's the last building project. You're not getting as good as the sports team.
I should have told them.
Where were you at 1 o'clock?
My son is to get an electrical, I'm an electrical
What I gave you was a copy from Mary Gervig of the process of a general contractor. And the second page is our purchasing policy, which Mary refers to in her email, which she sent on Monday. And then the third page is a list of the people I've had so far for potential committee members. And Clinton, what I talked us about, last month the board approved pursuing an auxiliary gym option. Take her from there.
Sure, so I think in talking with Kyle, we thought, following a similar path that we did last time with a building committee or a committee to see this process through would be a great idea. Again, it worked really well last time. So we've tentatively or talked about starting that meeting process on April 10th. We planned out, myself and Matt Wolfer were on the call with Kyle. I said I think 5 meetings, to schedule out 5 meetings is a reasonable time frame for folks. Given we're talking about a much smaller topic than the big topic we talked about last time, I think it's reasonable to get through that discussion and come to some consensus within 5 meetings. Matt joked I can get it done in 3, but so again, I think that the idea was to schedule out what we think we need, and if we finally get consensus much sooner in the process, we'll cancel meetings. I don't think anyone gets bent out of shape in that regard. We always think it's good to move forward with a time frame in mind of an end goal, and so in this case, I think the thought was, best case scenario, we could maybe consider a November referendum, but certainly if that is way too fast, we take a step back. Much like last time, I think we thought the idea of potentially surveying our community would be something that would be of a topic or an item. So kind of given this track, we would likely look to survey during the summer. Talking to school perceptions, it's something we've traditionally tried to steer away from. They have seen more districts do a June or July survey in the recent history, and they've turned out okay. I would say the general negative feel for them is you might get less response rate during that time. People are kind of checked out of school at that moment in time. So again, ultimately leading into November, the board would have to go to resolution. I always say it's August 20th. It's somewhere in that week range. After that, I think it's 70 or 75 days prior to the November election is the requirement for resolution. So just a couple of big picture kind of macro level schedule items for consideration. Again, if we start this process in the community, at any point in time and say, whoa, this is too quick, or just not lining up, then we as a group kind of sit down and say, hey, this is what we thought. We think we need more time, or the timing's not right. So that's, again, with any process we can go through, we just need to be realistic with each other if we're not getting where we need to be. So.
My concern is the operating cost referendum in November. If it fails, you got to run that in April, and I'm worried about having them on the same ballot. Matt specifically thought that running at the same time is a good thing because sometimes people, when you have one in November, one in April, it's like we just asked this for money, now you're asking us again. But I think we just be upfront with our information we get out about the operating cost referendum, that hey, there's one gym one coming, a auxiliary gym coming up after that. I think we just got to hold that information out at the same time.
I think the other thought process for that, you can obviously ask 2 questions in a calendar year. So the other philosophy or methodology of thinking there is if we just ask operating in November and it fails, then we can just ask operating, then we're back asking operating anyways. So, if we put both of them on the ballot in November, we have one, informational packet, or that's talking capital, that's talking operational. We're kind of able to package those 2 things together. Again, if it doesn't fail, then you ultimately could come back with either just the one operating question or both questions again in April as well. Now again, we don't also just want to throw questions at our community that are destined to fail. So we're really only going to go forward with the capital, with the multi-purpose space, if we see positive results on the survey and if we get support from our committee. So again, we're not putting something on the ballot to fail necessarily, but we think given we'll get good data and hopefully see support for these projects and initiatives, there would be the fear of putting them both. We just don't think it's warranted necessarily.
Do we, beyond the discussion points on this, do we have more experience or kind of some statistics on that, or we don't have that kind of data, like how many schools put them together and how many did them separately, or that wouldn't be collected data, right?
We can definitely look back at the last number of years. I would say overall, there has been just a slight trend of less support for operational in the recent past. But again, we'll see kind of what the data is in a couple of weeks this coming year.
Well, and I think you see where you're at. I mean, if the committee or the survey comes back positive, then you put a vote on there.
Right, so if I may, a follow-up to that is, will we do like the flyers and stuff like before? Because I think, because in one perspective to discuss is, based on what our finance team has done for the school, I think our operational referendum has a good history and a good position. And I think if we have the talking points very articulate that are, everyone understands it, and it's, that not just everyone understands it, right? Those two packages could, if we have those mailers and those flyers that explain the differences and see the differences where they're at, people have questions, learning this, how schools are funded, that's another working group for the community someday, but that's how I could see it working. It would have to be very, very articulate and clear to any taxpayer out there what's going on here, right? So we're not pulling a fast one. But I'm absolutely with you. If the committee and the group is out talking to the community, getting the word out like before, and we're selling it, and we'll see what the survey says. I mean, obviously, if there's a whole lot of negative energy coming from it, then with you, Kyle, absolutely not. Because our operating referendum, without a doubt, is our priority. We have to run a school here. And this committee has to understand that. So, but that's just a perspective.
We did in November of 18 on both questions at the same time.
Is there another meeting scheduled?
October.
Yeah, so,
Oh, did we run the school and the operational in the same?
Correct, and we ran the operating cost one for 2 years, and then we ran it again in 2020 then.
Yeah, I think in fairness, I think Barry looked at it as one big thing. And my only caution is that however you did it for this work, and I would strongly recommend you do the same process of getting the community together, educating the community, and talking about it so there's good vibes out there. There is some bad vibes in the community as you drive down Highway 57 and you go past one of these schools in the southern part and you see this huge temple being built and you start talking to people who live there and they are really upset now, like we never realized this is what we were getting into if we had to vote for it again. And actually, I don't know if they realize it, I've talked to people who are involved in the project, it's been cut down in size from what it was originally planned because of the cost of all of this.
Part was enhanced and a couple parts were cut or reduced.
But when you build an edifice and the rest of the campus is in the shadows of this edifice for sports, so it does have this.
Oh, we're not doing that. That's our.
I understand.
And there's a lot of people I talked to down there and
That's
they
what
were
they-
aware of it and they did.
No, but the importance of it is that you follow the pathway that was successful in building this, and I strongly recommend. I have nothing against doing it, but if you want to be successful, you have a formula for success, and you follow that formula that you did once.
So you'd be looking at starting April 10th.
April 10.
Mr. Linsky has a list of people attached here that meet various
People
sent
have
to him.
recommended, yes.
So you haven't contacted any of these
I haven't
people?
contacted, I was figuring I'd send a letter out by spring break.
I think we should, as we did last time, we did not have teachers and coaches on the committee. We called them in for consultation when the project got along. And I think that would be the same here, not to have teachers and coaches. And when we got to the options, whether it's the practice gym or the full competition gym with locker rooms and all the bells and whistles, then you bring the coaches in to talk about it, and you bring the FIED teachers in to talk about it, and anybody's going to use it.
That's kind of what we did with the building, because before we designed classrooms and such, like, I remember two art teachers, we had them across the hall, at the end of that hallway down there, and they said, we want to be side by side on the south side so there's better lighting for our projects, and we put a garage door and share, and we have a shared storage area in between. Well, then we just moved the boxes and put it that way, so that worked out well. In first and fifth grade, all got a shot at sitting down with the architects and put the two rooms side by side with the garage door, and that small group instruction, there was discussions of the door being the hallway or from the classroom, went around and around, and finally got to where we're at. And pretty satisfied with what we have out there in those areas. So is that the direction I'm hearing? And if you got anyone else, we'll put it all on paper. We'll advertise it on Facebook, because we did open the community up to anybody that's a citizen to come serve.
I think there were some good recommendations that if you're gonna come, be consistent and come to all the meetings.
That was kind of the first
Start missing the
kickoff
first couple
meeting we had.
meetings, then, yeah.
Right, we had
And I agree with
like
that.
40 some, we ended up with 35. And then
But we didn't bring in some at the end, because they
No, you
lost the
start
whole
and you
discussion
go-
and then through the process.
Exactly, you start and you see it through. And this shouldn't be, that was 10 months that time. This
Yeah, I was trying to
5
think
meetings.
just in terms of, you know, what the commitment people understood. I think the meetings were pretty open-ended, like we, you know, it's harder to say where the end of it was gonna be versus, I mean, maybe we're optimistic, but we just feel, given the scope of this, we can get a bow on this in 5 meetings.
What is the scope of this? What do you estimate?
I'm sorry,
What's the price tag?
I think there's way too many variables at this point in time. I'll just say, compared to what you're gonna say, wow, we got a good deal on this. 'Cause, you know, I'm sure if you've done any work around your house or built a house recently, I mean, costs are crazy nuts. So, it has, I'd say it has leveled out. I mean, that huge spike in inflation has gone away, but, you know,
Prices have come down.
the inflation, yeah.
The inflation rate slowed.
Yes,
It
yes,
is reversed.
yes, we're not
in recession. I mean,
I would say what we are seeing and hearing though is the construction community needs work, and so, I mean, while costs haven't come down necessarily, we've just seen more competitive bidding, and a lot more of the projects we've bid recently have been under budget, which for a while was a word that was not uttered much. So at least the predictability of the market and then just the competitive nature of the bidding has been much, much better.
So, have we come up with an official name for this project?
No. Should we?
I put auxiliary gym on the thing, because it's auxiliary space, we don't know exactly what it's gonna be.
Okay.
We
So I-
could, you know, at some point it could be called a community center, depending on the
Well,
options. You could have it in.
where you going with that?
The community could
That's what the group should
To
do.
appeal to the largest audience possible.
Right, that's, I think this group of representing the community, that would be important.
Because I mentioned before that I really would like to see some fine arts component to the building, like a better theater.
Well, that's what the committee is gonna work
Sure.
through and see where the priorities
I
are.
agree, Dick.
Yep. So I mean, it depends on how you want to put
Okay,
that all
so,
together.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's not defined yet, I think, I would say.
Yeah.
So we're going to direct Mr. Lidkey to work with Bray to set up a committee similar to we had last time. We're going to remove the coaches from the list, leave the coaches out of the list. Because we don't have all the, we have a few coaches, but not from every.
I think your original observation is correct. I think the coaches should be there as a resource, not as members of the community.
So they come in later at that point in design.
Then all board members should feel free to come to all the meetings, but we need 3 who will commit to every meeting. I'm going to take one of those. Dick, you have the interest in the gymatorium?
Yep.
Okay.
I would.
Then we need one more. I don't know if one of the athletic committee members want to, or one of the other members. Okay. And everybody else should feel free to come every time you can.
One thing for the coaches, depending on how the committee goes, there might be a scenario where it might be helpful for the committee members that are from the community to hear from the coaches. Because the coaches can give a background. So my point is, I guess they might not be part of the committee, but we might want to bring them in so that the coaches can say how limited in space we are. I mean, the need. They might help define the need, right? Because what we did before is we got through a need, and that community understood that there really was a need. And then we just had to figure out how to satisfy the need. So the coaches are probably a most experienced voice on the need around here. So now they're probably not part of the committee, but just something to think about if you need to bring them in.
They're a resource when
When
the committee determines they're ready to hear from them.
35 last time, it's 31.
Anything else for Clint?
Well, I thought we were going to talk about this whole thing about the attorneys. How you're going to process this. Yes, I thought there was some issues out there.
Do you want to talk about this tonight, or is this?
Yeah, I want to talk about this now because last time we interviewed construction managers partly through the process, and then we hired Myron, and they helped us with pre-referendum information. This is sped up a little bit because if we're going November, it's basically April. We've had our first meetings, last time we had our first meetings like end of September, October, and then we ran it the next November. Sometime in the spring, Myron got on board. Well, we're already at spring now, so that bias isn't the right word. We had a great experience with Myron, so I would lean towards Myron. Mary Gerber gives you the information.
As your architect?
No, as the general contractor.
Construction manager.
Construction manager, another word, yes. So, and construction manager, you want to give Bray's opinion on that?
Sure, yeah, so I guess from our opinion, the keeping with a partner is something many districts across the state do in this regard. A neighbor or bit down the road, west of here, for example, is a district Bray and Myron have worked in a number of times. And I think the thought process, and I think applicable here is, I think even in our regard, we went through a competitive process to come on board. Our fees were held up as a competitive process. And many districts will say, well, as long as you give us the same deal, or however you want to say it, fee-wise as last time, we went through the competitive process. We're comfortable with that. I think the same thing on the CM side of things, construction management side of things. They went through a competitive process. And if they're willing to offer their services again at the same rate, that generally is kind of what we've done with other districts. I will say that the stipulation, again, construction manager, it really is seen as a professional service. They are still bidding out all of the work on the project, so I mean they're managing it. They're another partner in the management process. So again, in terms of, well, we're just handing them the work and they're going to get to do it, it isn't necessarily the case, because all the work will get bid out.
They're bidding behind the scenes.
No, not behind the scenes, because on bid day.
On bid day last year,
School was
Lisa
actively
and I went
involved.
down to Myron's office as the bids came in, and like one example I gave you is the masonry work. Myron got bid on that, excuse me. Their bid was $200,000 less than the nearest competitor, and one of their guys said, well, this is wrong because we could have put another $150,000 on here and made some more profit, but we didn't. So that was a fair bid process, and there was parts of the project they bid on and they didn't get. So that's the part where they would get the work if they're the leading bidder for those areas. But go ahead, Jerry, talk about.
I'm just my experience, okay? We were approved for for a $23 million project. I went to our professional organization, I took my building person with me when we went down to a nice place, and we came back, and it was like bidding is the traditional way of doing this stuff. Costs you money. It's passe, you can't. And we just followed it. And then we went to the guy in charge of all the building for the hospital system I was in. He said, I want to talk to you guys about how I want to do your project. He says, I don't want to go out and bid. I wouldn't want to select, the process of you design, you come up with your project, you come up with your budget, and now we start going out to find who's willing to do this. And so you go out first with we already had our architect. You work with your architect to put this scheme together, and then you go out and see which construction companies want to do it and are willing to do it for this price, and then they become part of the team, and they like what it's design bid. It's not really design bid. It's what you talked about.
Well, it almost
it's project management.
It's construction, yeah.
It's project management. And then that group got together, and then they decided which of the plumbers and which of the da-da-da-da-da. And then and we didn't bid any of that. And there's bidding going on behind the scenes with the contractor as he gets more subs in and all this stuff. He's working it. But you agree on the project, you agree on the price. And then if you make savings, the contracting company gets some of it, and you keep the bulk of it, and then, you know, that's worked out in the detail. In the end, the $23 million project got done for $19 million. We had minimum amount of change orders, because that's the part of the process that drives up the cost of your project. And if you do it the traditional way, when the contractors are looking at it, if the designs and future, they'll go, well, that's never going to work, but we can lower our bid to get the project because we know we're going to come in with a change order for that and make up for it, okay? So in the process of the $20 million project, we had 100 change orders, of which 50% of them came from the owner, didn't come from the construction company. So I highly recommend it. It's hard to sell people because they've all been brought up that we gotta get the best deal when everybody's going at it. I also recommend you stay with a contractor that just got done with this building. They know this building forwards and backwards. Your architects know this building forwards and backwards. Why start all over? And if you want to even continue working with the subs on however you work it out with them, your heating and air conditioning people, your electrical people, your plumbers, they know this building too. You're going to save a ton of money. You will not, I guarantee, probably you will not exceed, if you do good planning, you will not exceed the price that you went with, and you'll probably get it done for less than that. But it's very, very difficult to get people to change their minds. If you think about it, when people build their own homes, they just work with a contractor and they kind of build it together, design it together. They don't go out and bid everything out. They work as a team. Once you form a team with this people, well, you just got done with this big project, you've got a team out there who knows. We use Marshall Worden out of Appleton. They were in, and after that, it's kind of like, it sounds strange, but you just go back to the same people because they know your building, and then in the agreement we always had was, we will go forward as long as you don't screw us. If we ever find out you're screwing us, the deal's over, we're going to look at another model or go out for bids or something like that. Because it's really what it does is you form a partnership, working together on the project, not a competitive thing to see who's going to do it the cheapest and all that type of stuff. Do you agree with me?
Can I jump in? I would agree with you. And so what I would add, the words I heard is the professional service is what we're hiring. We have proven, and what he just explained in our last process, and what we're going to do in this process. So, and for timing and expertise, I would be one to recommend we go with Bray as the architect. Myron treated us well, the budget was controlled, and we talked to him all the time, and same methods here, the budget needs to be managed. And if we specify the scope of the project through this working group, the change orders will not be coming from the school. Because if you specify it up front and say, that's what we're building, you remove the 27 change orders. So I would be one to recommend before, because the competition that still is involved in the process.
But the beauty of the process is you've got the architect, you've got the contractor, you've got the subs now working together, designing the project, so there are no surprises, and they're working together as a team.
We like Bray, we like Myron. Our attorney recommends that the public purpose doctrine will require more oversight over the use of public funds.
So we have to know what percentage of this project Myron's going to charge for being construction manager, basically.
Well, we would have to.
You know that.
Yeah, well, we don't know, I mean, project hasn't been established yet.
The other thing is maybe nobody else will bid.
That's
Because we
Myron.
had this great relationship with Myron, well, we're not gonna do that because they're gonna give it to Myron anyway. Because we can, based on experience and past performance.
Yeah, so as a professional service, as a construction manager, they're charging you a percentage fee, right? Which again was part of the negotiation process and part of the competitive interviewing and submittal process that was done last time. So similarly, Bray, same thing. We have a percentage fee that we charge based on the cost of the work for the project. So our fees, I think, are pretty established and upfront.
And that's documented, we know what that is.
I know, but, I mean, this is a different project.
It is.
Would the percentage they charge be more based on a different project than the project they finished?
I think all things are negotiable as we go into this, so that, you know, I would say at minimum, are you gonna charge us the same fee as last time, or can you sharpen your pencils, right? I mean, that's always the
I
question.
guess my question is, do we want to move against the advice of our legal counsel?
And do we need to, this isn't an agenda item necessarily,
I'm
so
bringing this to your attention at this time because I'm gonna need to know what direct, I wanna know what we're doing.
you want a direction tonight.
Can I just,
Some direction, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to, one point, so again, last time we went through a submittal process for CM, I forget how many we sent it out, I think we got 4 or 5 submittals, I think we interviewed 3 or 4, and then we selected Myron. If the, you know, going back into this process and we go through it, if we're ultimately just going to select Myron again, we're number one, we are wasting time at a time, but number 2, we are wasting efforts of other companies too. So I just want to say, all things being equal, we go through the same process. And maybe it's very different. Maybe we talk to somebody else and we fall in love with a different CM. But again, you know, given you did have the good positive experience, I would just say that Myron likely has, you know, an advantage kind of going into things. And again, maybe they don't bring their A team this time or what have you, but you know, if
But you're there to watch them.
Huh?
You're there to watch them.
I'm there. Well, Kyle knows them probably as well as I do. So, but I just want to bring that little point to it too. I mean, if we go through this process and we're ultimately just going to go through the process to just pick Myron again, then we're not really doing much of a service to anybody.
Just for one,
I had that conversation with Mary Gervig, and that's when I use the term bias towards Myron. She goes, you're not biased towards it. She says you favor them because you had positive experience from start to finish, because they were on board the summer of 18 through till we moved into the building in August of 21. So she said, no, you're not biased. You just have a positive experience with them. That was great.
And so, Sue, my comment to you is, I am one who would be willing to move forward, understanding what the lawyer is saying. I would also dive into, she's an advisor, she's not the decision maker, right? And I would go into her risk area. This would require more oversight versus less. I would argue with this less oversight. And we like, as far as rates, we're going to look into the same rates. And if we want to do our homework and sharpen our pencils, that what we need to look at are construction managers charging less of a percentage than they did when we competed for the ones before. If they were, then we ask, you know, sharpen your pencil and come down. The average has gone down. If the average has gone up and they're still willing to meet that. So I think we can provide the same insight or oversight to the public dollars. Any questions they have. That's why we're having this committee. That's why we're following this. We'll be very, very, I disagree with her saying there's less oversight on this. And I provide oversight for 30 years of my life, so I've been doing it. I don't think there's less oversight.
I can talk to Myron and find out what the percentages, the rates are, and bring that proposal to the April board meeting.
Yeah, if it's 17 times more, guess what the answer is going to be? No, right?
But you don't even have to worry about it. Once you draw up what your budget is, if Myron is willing, you go to Myron and say, are you willing to take on this project for this amount of money?
Here's what you're missing.
We haven't got that total
Here's the
value.
problem. We don't know what our budget's
Yeah,
going to
we
be,
haven't
because
set that
there may be
aside.
a single gym, there may be a gym with a double floor.
I understand that, but you haven't got an
So we don't know
auditorium.
that yet.
Right.
And it might have locker rooms, it might have concession stand, it might just be one single gym.
I understand.
Or we don't know, it might have bleacher seats that fold into auditorium seats with a stage in the back. We don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
So the price tag changes depending on what the design of the building is.
You're going into it blind. Yeah, I don't want to go into a project blind.
Right.
But no, this board should tell how much we're willing to spend for a project and then build off of that.
No, the community's gonna tell us off the survey, when we give them like 3
Okay,
options for
fine.
a building.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, don't go through the old paradigm, because it doesn't save you money.
Wait,
But we're not there yet.
No, you're not there yet.
Right,
I think
we got
we're debating.
Ray, and we're gonna get Myron or someone
We
else.
just can't
and
take a
then
step
we
back.
get the survey, and then we say, okay, this is what we want.
No, I'm taking it to the,
we're
you gotta accept the concept, and then we can move on with the whole thing of planning and all that kind of stuff.
What about this? Mr. Lutke does that research before the April meeting. We put this on the April meeting agenda and we decide at that time, do we go to bid or do we go with Bray?
Is it worth, Dick, what did you mean? You
going
said out
into
loud,
blind.
let me ask, you said you don't want to go into a project blind, what does that mean?
That means we don't have a direct quote from Myron right now before us, do we? No. We don't even know what the project cost is gonna be.
That's right.
We don't know any of these things, and now all of a sudden we're deciding that we're gonna use Myron as a construction project manager
Yeah.
for something we don't even have on the plate yet.
So what do you think that risk we're?
Well, I'm saying
How's
that,
that gonna make anything better?
Wait, let him finish, I'm just trying to understand his concern, I don't.
the thing I'm trying to say, and Kyle brought up the point, Kyle can talk to Myron, see what the current situation is. We'll have some idea possibly what this project is gonna curtail. And then we can at least have some numbers to look at instead of just saying, okay, we're gonna select this, our past construction project.
And let's
Well,
back
what are we
up, let's
agreeing
back
to?
up to last time. Last time we did, we brought Myron on board. They helped us with the pre-referendum work at no cost. And if the referendum passed, then they became our, what were they?
Construction manager.
Construction manager, okay, construction manager, and then we went out to bid for the other parts. Jerry, the problem with saying this project is going to cost $4 million, $6 million, $10 million, whatever, we don't know the scope of what it's going to be because we don't know all the parts that are going to be put in the box.
We're good, Jerry, where you're at, we're on board with your approach.
Right.
That one last step you're saying, so just bear with us on that. What you're saying is what we're trying to implement here.
What I'm really also saying is that you bring Myron in now for these discussions to help you decide what product you want to put together. So, because they can tell you, this isn't going to work if you want to have a stage and a basketball thing and all. We've done that 40 times, and that's not going to work.
So let me address, I'm with you, so just give me a minute.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk to Dick's concern, which is a valid concern. We're not committing to pay Myron any money. We're committing to work with a team who's helped us to define what that project is. We're not giving a contract for $7 million to a construction manager. We're agreeing to have them as a manager, which is a professional service, and there's a certain, a small fee for the managing service. The bulk of the contract, which will be defined by scope after the working group, and then their benefit is a percentage, which has previously been competed. So I just don't like that anyone hears that we're going into anything blind.
Right.
That is not a correct, accurate statement at all, and I'm clarifying it. So your concern is we're writing some big contract. We're not. They're coming on to help us define what it is. And if the taxpayers say no, we aren't paying much of anything. So that's the difference that needs to be understood here.
So this committee meets April 10th. Our next board meeting is April 17th. At that board meeting, Mr. Lippy will have information on fees, etc. This is not an agenda item. You'll have that, and we will be able to decide at that time if we just move ahead with Myron, because we have great experience with them and think that's the easiest path, or that we feel we need to go through the selection process again.
I would suggest that we have Mary Gerbig available virtually for that April meeting.
Sure. Why? It's not a legal issue.
It's not a legal issue.
It's not a legal issue.
Well, she's given an opinion here, a legal
She says,
opinion.
she's going back to our policy. We, as a group, we can go along with our policy, change our policy.
No, I would offer this. I've been advocating for tax dollars for my whole life. So her advice is this oversight work. She's worried about oversight. So what we as a group need to be able to convince our taxpayers that we're going to provide adequate advocacy and oversight for pennies spent on this school.
I would like to hear Mary's thoughts on that.
We can talk to her about it, but it's not that she needs to be in the building.
And that's why I asked her to write
She
this
doesn't
up.
have to be in the building, she can be on,
No, I meant, we can meet with her separately if you want to do that. We can do that. I don't know how she would be involved in the meeting or the...
After my discussions with Mary, I said, please summarize it in an email that I can share at the board meeting. This is what she gave me. So I think she's going to reiterate this again and again because I've had multiple conversations and I don't think there's more. But we can have her on the phone.
I don't care if she comes. I don't think it'll change.
I don't
her
want to
position.
spend money for her to drive up here. We should have her
she doesn't have
available
to
by
drive,
phone.
she can Zoom up here.
We should have, she can be available by phone if we need her.
or someone from her firm.
So,
All right.
so that is, that'll be on the agenda next meeting. Thank you. I don't think I saw any guests signed up to speak, so then I'll take a motion.
Thank you, Glenn.
I take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Volkman, second by Shea to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And that includes a donation from the Jacksonville Area Business Association of $2,500 for the music department. And finally, we are to the administrator report, so we'll consider theirs so patiently. This is Mark Rock.
The only thing I'd like to add is that the summer enrollment for summer programming continues to climb. We're at 62%, and we're hoping that more registrations come in by Friday. That's all I'm going to add.
Thank you. Mr. Hills.
Just a couple of quick things. The first one is a big thank you to Kara Krieger and her team for putting together the Fine Arts Night. Second year we've done that, and it was as outstanding this year as it was last year. Even more so with the amount of artwork that was out and displayed, and it was just a very impressive evening. So kudos to all of them for putting that together. And just to draw your attention to the Act 20 update, the committee, I'm not sure exactly what you call it, approved several curriculum options. If a district would go with one of those options, then it will be partially reimbursed. You can still go with your own, and you just run the risk that it won't be reimbursed at all. Our team continues to look at the English curriculum, and we're going to choose what's best for us. We've been very successful. We've done a nice job over the years, so I think we need to go with what works for us here, but that's the update from the state legislature.
Do we currently use any of those?
We do not.
We do not.
Mr. Schaefer.
I'm just going to touch on, I'll add on to the Fine Arts Night, just a huge thank you to our NHS. They served 454 people at the event, serving pancakes. The students were incredible back there. They were working, many teams were, our students were going on, and they were having a lot of fun, but they were working hard, so that was awesome. And our music department, I don't know, the performances that I was able to get in and see were absolutely beautiful and amazing. On top of that, in our tech ed, Mr. Paul was able to showcase the things that are going on in the tech ed wing, and that was incredible. There's some great stuff that they're doing. And then our Destination Imagination team was leading the Minute to Win It. And then Mrs. LeClaire's room, personally, was one of my favorites. The decorative cakes that were there were, I'm sorry if I sound over positive, but they're just incredible.
Some of them were very professional looking.
They were so amazing. And no, I asked for each one. I was going to take a bite, but no, they were superb. And one of the coolest things that in that wing with Mrs. LeClaire was the first grade student pairing up with a high school student, designing their character, and then the high school student stitching and making it and bringing it to life. And once again, I love community, so I love when our community is here. The outpour of community was incredible. And then I can't not say something about our musical. What an experience our kids get. Like, our musicians get to be with adult musicians that are professional. They get to work with them. Amy Ensign does just a superb job. We are so blessed and fortunate. Sitting there and watching a diverse group of students put on a production and the amount of hours that they put in their final week preparing. We're just very lucky, very blessed. 2 events that were superb, by far superb.
I'll add to the arts night, Mr. Kent had that mural project going, and when he started that, I don't know how that'll go, but he had people lined up to be painting their squares, so it was good. Anybody have questions they wish to direct on the athletic director's report, the student talented report?
She's here tonight. Ask your questions.
Pass away. Superintendent's report.
I got nothing beyond this in the other parts.
Okay, I don't have anything. Committee reports. Anybody?
I do. Can I jump back to the AD and ask you a question? How are you finding for parents signing up, or is it too early to say?
For spring sports,
Yes.
I've had pretty good response from softball. Softball, all parents have filled all the positions, so that's been great.
Awesome.
Baseball probably at about 50%. So track and soccer, we're probably about.
Since you're here, that's always a burden. And so, all right, thank you.
The anniversary committee had a program in this room today, held a Bobby a book talk on her book, outlining her family's flight from Germany and the hardships they went through. It was emotional. The room was full. It was a really nice program.
Dave Walker, her nephew,
Author
both
the book.
Knoxville graduates, yeah.
Stephen recorded it, so if you want to watch it, it'll show up on our
It'll be on the YouTube tomorrow.
stuff sometime. And May 1st, the Door County Historical Museum is going to present on all of the schools that created Sevastopol consolidated them in, so that'll be another good program. Anything on budget?
Yeah, you don't have a regular budget report because there's a little glitch between Chris Moore and Carl Holtman on a part of it. But I'm going to give you some information on insurance costs. Front page, which is how you, normal sheet of paper, shows you that if we stick with Prevea 360 with the same plan for 24-25 as we have for 23-24, the cost increase is going to be $539,020.92, of which the district would pay $474,338. And employees, which would be divided amongst the 81 plans, would be $64,682. Now, the only way, that's a 38.9% increase. The only way we can get that deal is if we sign up for the second year as well, which is a 24.9% increase upon the 38.9%. So you go up. Again, that's the bottom portion, which would be another increase of $479,233. I didn't break that out between the district and the employee because the number was just so high, so I'm done. If you flip the other side of this landscape style, there's 4 alternate plans from Prevea 360. The first plan, and you can see how the deductible goes from $1,000, $2,000, to $2,400. The first plan, the increase in cost would be $358,861 for the first year. The second year, the cost would increase to $434,374 for a total 2-year impact of $793,235. Option or alternate 2, the increase, and you've got to read the details in the middle. You can see the deductibles go up. The increase is only $40,581 for year 1, and year 2 would increase $355,122, provided with the same number of family and single plans we currently have. And you can see the deductible doubles there as well. Option 3, the first year would actually go down $85,243, but the deductible goes from a $1,000, $2,000 to $3,200, $6,400 for the folks. So we're trying to provide good benefits for our people and good salaries, and obviously that's a step backwards in what we have. And the second year would be an increase still of $323,792 for an overall 2-year increase of $238,344. The fourth option, the plan increase would be $878,810 for the first year, so I didn't do the math in the second year because I just quit at $878,000. We're going to talk compensation in closed session. The CPIU is 4.25%. if folks got a 4.25% and we switch plans, their cost of living increase is going to be eaten up by the increase in insurance costs out of their pocket for their 12% of the premium and then the deductibles they have. So we've got to get a little proactive. I did meet with DVS on, let's say Wednesday, it was just yesterday. And there is an HSA, HRA program where you can set money aside. I've got to dig into that some more because we can't afford to keep our current plan. The other good news, the other good news is we haven't gotten any bids from any other companies yet. We've been with Prevailia 360 for 5 years. We should in the next couple of weeks get bids for the other companies and we can compare more apples to apples with that and keep working on this. The next board meeting, we should issue contracts for next year because we have to do the teachers their contract by May 15th. So we have to make a decision on the increase in wages, but it's all contingent upon the insurance costs too. So this is what keeps me awake at night.
3M is what, a coordinator or something like that? What?
M3 is our insurance broker. Right, and they've accomplished this for us so far with Prevailia 360, but they're going out to 4 or 5 other companies.
Do they have any sense of what other companies, what those might come back in? I mean,
they haven't really.
The hospital used to have to be able to switch back to UMR. I don't know the reason, but I'm just saying maybe Prevailia is not competitive. I mean,
well, Prevailia lost money on this over the last 5 years, and they've told M3 they're not trying to make up for losses from previous years, but they're for-profit companies, so.
They all are.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if they are trying to make up for lost time or not. I don't know.
No business is out to lose money.
Well,
Right,
they
exactly.
provide health insurance.
Well, my question for M3 is to help us with the staff here. What is all of industry doing? Because I think what is all of it? Do they have data on other companies in general? What I'm hearing, if you hear whatever your sources are, all medical costs.
It's all going up.
Every company's insurance out there is a struggle. Family's insurance has gone up across the board. So that's what, if this M3 company had any broader set of data to help this group influence decisions on this, is doubling someone's deductible, is that good for today's world? I don't know. It's not what nobody wants, but if everyone else in the world has done that, because the costs are so high, well, maybe doubling is better than what other.
That's why I'm looking at the HSA to see if we can change plans and make adjustments. Add
That's
that.
not even an HSA qualified plan, is it? I mean, there's
Right.
You have to have a qualifying plan to have an
Exactly.
HSA. Because I mean, just
Well, even like I was talking TRICARE guys, unlucky me, but our deductible was going up. I mean, so that's the U.S. government.
I'm just saying that our employer, I don't have that insurance, but what we offer where I work, it's a $3,000 deductible, but it's not a high deductible qualified plan. I'm just saying.
No, I don't know all the details. I'm just asking for more data.
Right. Well, and M3 is supposed to get its numbers by the end of this week, but it looks like it's going to take another week or so. So
I did look into it. We are also eligible for a state health insurance group. Premiums are higher for the state health insurance group, but the deductibles are lower. So it's a toss-up, I guess. I mean, this is kind of a high deductible compared to what the state employees are offered. But the only two insurance companies, two health insurance companies that the state goes with in Door County is Network and Prevailia 360.
Are you saying the school's able to use that
Yes,
as well?
any school, anybody that participates in the Wisconsin retirement system is eligible to also participate in the state health insurance.
And M3's aware of that, right? So when they're looking out there.
Oh, yeah.
So premiums are lower, but deductibles are also higher.
I would just say $1,000 deductible is, I mean, that's pretty, in today's world, I mean, I don't know what other schools have, but I just know in the public sector, whether it be at a hospital or other,
That's pretty small.
That's a pretty good, and I'm just saying, that's a good deductible.
That's my only
It's like a $100 deductible.
I mean,
years ago.
back in the day, we had a $100 deductible for a forever. I would say those were good ones too, but.
M3 is coming to our in-service day on April 19th to speak to the staff. It's just we've had this for 5 years, so you're used to this, and then you get a little sticker shock when you flip it over, and you go, holy cow, and then you, right when you start calculating what's my raise gonna be, and it's all eaten up here. So I just want you guys to know it all goes together, and
This is the big sticker shock.
Uh-huh.
For the opt-out, that's what.
That's why I highlighted it.
So I mean, that's kind of way into it now.
Absolutely.
More to come.
And hopefully.
Legally, are you allowed to merge, combine plans, like get all the schools in Door County into and put together your own self-funded insurance plan?
Self-insured?
That's the cheapest.
How do you orchestrate that?
It's done all over the place. I mean, self-funded plans.
From public schools?
I don't know, I'm answering.
I don't know, I think you can, I don't know much about that though.
That's I mean.
And
Some
you want all
districts
of
are
us to
self-funded.
But you,
Yeah,
yeah, but we're not big enough to self-fund. You need
No,
a minimum of a
Well,
couple
yeah.
hundred employees or so, just it's self-funded any size, but your risk is really huge.
Right, you want to spread the risk over 4 districts, which means you have to have 4 school boards agree on $1,000.
Well, I mean, maybe.
I'm just telling you.
I know.
We couldn't open a county calendar for the county.
They all got to be at the same point. And maybe the point where that's something you can all agree on, let's reduce our insurance costs by getting in, instead of a group of 400 or 300, you're going to get a group of a few thousand, and then we're going to go and self-fund. And the problem with that is when you bring in multiple entities, you're going to have somebody who's going to have a lung transplant in Gibraltar, and Southern Doors population hasn't done anything, and their rates are going to go up because you're going to have to support the lung transport. But you got to all agree that you're in this.
Sharing the risk.
I think.
Okay, and then, all right. here's
I'm just
the-
asking, is that?
I don't know, my question to you is, say we do that,
Mhm.
and all 4 districts agree, and we're gonna do that, then what happens if one becomes dissatisfied and wants to dissolve, then what happens?
Then you all have to get together, if they've got 4 in a group and 1 leaves, you get 3 of you got to get together, see if it's still feasible to continue it. But you got to have strings attached to that, and you've got to really go into it being honest to each other. But in the long run, that's the only card left in the deck to get some reduction in costs.
Well, let's see what the other companies come with.
Because you're the insurance company now.
And just for discussion, my concern is, quite honestly, the turnover on school boards, the consistency would be all over the place. So the perspectives would be so different. How would you provide consistency for?
By the legal documents that you all agreed to in the beginning of this class.
Then next year, they'll re-elect and they won't agree to it.
No, it's not going to be like a 1-year agreement, it's going to be a multi-year agreement.
Well,
With
that's a
terms.
future
I don't know how it's
discussion.
structured, I'm just
Let
saying.
me get some bids from other companies, and
We're gonna move.
in April, we're gonna have to do something with teacher contracts, but I just wanna lay the worst things first.
We're gonna move to facilities report.
Greenhouse roof still leaks. They're gonna come back and fix it with it. We're waiting for it to rain one more time. Last time it rained, Dennis ordered to take pictures of it for Myron to see, and they're on the greenhouse company. I haven't heard.
Can't you just hook up a hose? Spray a hose up on there?
Yeah, well, we could run one up there and do that, yeah. We can simulate at this point, yeah.
Not.
This is the
But it's kind of what it is, right? Well, anything else? Oh, we also have a resident skunk. At least one for sure. On the grounds, front yard, between the school and Highway 57.
Is he
This is rural.
What he's living.
Okay, well, get a guy with a trap out there.
And you can go, and the superintendent can go pick up the trap.
Okay, board goals. I'm gonna figure out this shirt matter, and next time we're gonna take a picture for the 100-year yearbook where we are all dressed coordinating. And maybe tonight out of our self-evaluation, we'll come up with a couple of goals for the school board. Sue, is there anything we need to discuss on the legislative front?
Yes, the legislature has adjourned for now, and they're going to be focusing on campaigning rather than legislation. But there are, and there was a lot of legislation that did not pass either the Assembly or the Senate, but there are some things that are moving forward. One thing of interest is that DPI is proposing some changes in the school start date rule that would provide clearer guidance and additional flexibility for school districts, and WASB is strongly supporting this because of the desire for local control on the part of school boards. So that'll be something to be watching for now. Some of the bills that today I was informed by WASB are heading to the governor would be one dealing with directing school boards to provide instruction on Hmong Americans and Asian Americans. Also, one dealing with the Office of School Safety to provide funding for that office. We did talk earlier about the fact that there was some effort to not fund the Office of School Safety, but given the importance of safety, and we've seen that right in our own county this past week, where school safety is of utmost importance. There was also a bill heading to the governor that provides greater definition on strip searches, and that goes back to another district in Wisconsin where there were some issues with that. Also, sexual misconduct regarding any misconduct against a pupil. This would now be a Class 1 felony. A bill requiring youth organizations to have at least one time during the school year to present information about their organization to students, such as Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or any of those youth organizations. One on opioid antagonists, that anyone in the school district would not be liable for any injury that would result from an opioid antagonist. Another one, that all school boards are allowed to employ a school district administrator who is not licensed by DPI. Also some licensing for paraprofessionals now because of the teacher shortage, and there are some qualifications around that. But many of the bills that we've been seeing did not pass through the legislature. They may come back, they may not. So it'll be kind of a quiet time right now for legislation with the campaigning for future elections, and the redistricting, which is a big thing, doesn't affect us in our district, but many districts throughout the state it does affect.
Did I mention this, or going through some of the school board association stuff, there was a one-liner or something that there was a bill to the boys play with boys and girls play with girls based upon what's on your birth certificate. And the school board association was against that.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Did they ever ask school boards what they thought of that?
It really is a WIAA issue.
But it said that the school board association was against boys with boys and girls with girls, and I think that's such a highly charged issue. Before the school board association takes a position on that, I would have thought they would have come.
It went through the delegate assembly in January, and it was defeated in delegate assembly.
So if it was defeated, then the WASB wouldn't.
They would not support that. The delegate assembly did not support.
So that the school board association thinks the majority of school boards out here are in favor of mixed athletics groups?
No, it says
No.
the WSB said let it be up to the WIA, but not ruling on it one way or another.
Right.
They're saying it's not our battle to fight, it's the WIA's to fight.
Yes.
Okay, but that was going through the legislature too.
it may get to that point.
It has.
Hasn't gone through yet.
And WIAA has taken a stand on it, haven't they?
Right now, it's girls are in girls and boys are in boys.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Well, they said no, which makes you think they're in favor of
Mixed.
mixing. Right, that's
That's why
not their stance.
That's the way I interpreted it.
Right, that's the way it reads when you say no, they're against boys with boys and girls with girls. Right.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's good.
Then we'll move on to the land lease agreement. Did you want to frame anything up on this?
Gilbert Farms had it. They have some alfalfa planted out there, which is a multi-year crop. They'd like to do it 4 years again. The rent is $70 per acre. I don't know if you're interested in moving that up or not after 4 years. It's 14 acres. It's not going to make a. I just recommend staying with it and go 4 more years.
It's pretty low.
I would move to acknowledge and extend the land lease agreement with Gilbert Farms for 14 acres at $70 per acre.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Questions or discussion?
My question related to that is, it's not a money maker, I don't think, for the school, and they're taking care of it, and it's awesome. I just want to make sure that it is fair, because, there are a lot of the farmers in the community, and if, I do not know what leased land goes for.
Right.
So
Just out of fairness.
I don't know what land's running for that.
That's the only thing is that other farmers would say,
More than this, right?
It depends.
Well,
It depends on who you're renting the land to.
Yes.
And land rent typically, okay, I'll give you a scenario. Farmers in the Kewaunee County area are willing to pay $100, $150 an acre to haul manure up to Door County to spread. Okay. So that's the other end of the spectrum. The other end, I can rent land. I rent my land for $45, $50 an acre to a farmer who does a good job, and that's what I'm satisfied with. So I don't think we want to go for the maximum and subject ourselves.
No, I don't think.
I
I don't think that's
just, my only question is, are taxpayers of this school district, are there some farmers that are in the school district that would love to rent that land and so when they see it's at this rate, as long as it's a fair rate, that's all I'm at, and I don't have that data.
I think it's fair.
A different farmer had it 4 years ago and no longer was in farming, and so Gilbert stepped up and rented at that time. I don't know if there's other interest. I don't know what per.
Maybe there is no other interest.
Maybe there's not, yeah.
I guess the only way I know is I put it ad in the
I
paper.
just sent a message to a farmer, $30 to $100 per acre.
30 to 100.
There you go.
If you got organic, it's probably 150.
So how much are they?
Well, we don't want some manure back.
I mean, I don't think people are gonna truck manure up and spread on 14 acres.
I just had a question. Motion's on the table, so I'm
That's not.
Jerry, what are you asking?
How much is the motion's for how much an acre?
70 times 14.
That's how much they're gonna pay us, okay? You just said that 30 to 100. 30 to 100.
30 to
That's fine.
100.
Yeah, we're in there.
It's
900.
only 14 acres, so it's gonna be a farmer that's close by, because it's not.
Yeah, no, I was just
So
asking.
waste, they're gonna drive their machinery there several times a year. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions or discussions? There was a motion, Kaylee, by Weidman, second by Gary, to approve the land lease agreement.
Got it.
Got it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed? Motion carried. The Start College Now applications, did Mr. Schaefer or Mr. McKinney need to speak on those?
I would move to approve the Start College Now applications as presented.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Kaylee, you got that? Yes. Okay. Then we have a time off request from Ann Fleur. We have a letter from Ann.
Make a motion to accept Ann Flores' request.
Second.
Motion by Warwick, seconded by Weidman to approve the request of time off by Ann Fleur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Lisa Morrison time off.
I make a motion we approve Lisa Morrison's request for time.
She sent it on Monday.
That was the amended.
It was the amended agenda.
We have a script. It's not in the packet.
It wasn't in the packet on Friday, so
It
it came in on Monday, then the amended agenda came out there.
And this meets the requirements, right?
Maybe her one time.
Then it would be, both of these cases would be documented.
Yep, I'll do the letters like always, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Was there a motion on that?
I made it.
Second. No second, then second.
Okay, motion Warwick, second Kaczynski to approve Lisa Morrison's request for time off. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then we have a couple of resignations.
Move to approve the resignation of Madeline Estes from the assistant soccer coach.
Second.
Okay, with a motion by Kaczynski, second by Today to approve Madeline Estes's resignation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then Jamie Keane, basketball.
Make a motion to approve the resignation of Jamie Keane as basketball coach.
I'll second.
Motion by Volkman, second by Isaacson to approve the resignation of Jamie Keane as middle school girls basketball coach. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then we have this matter of staff time off.
Yeah, I guess we should put that in old business, because we discussed it last month when we tabled it. It was under new business, so here it is. I got the language in the handbook. We had 2 more requests this month for these one-offs, I'll call them. I don't have any better language than what we have here. So what do you guys want to do about it, if anything?
Well, can we just add language that says that the board will approve on it as?
As requested basis?
Yeah.
Well, with the current language, if we don't have any credible arguments, the board can currently, just by the process of the board policies, there can be exceptions brought to the board. And that's what you've been doing, right?
Right, I say no, based off what's in here, and then they say, well, can I
And they
appeal?
come here,
And then they write a letter.
and we all say yes.
Right.
I don't know, I don't see a change then.
I can't, no, but we had a meeting for where it was asked to put some language in there about school events when kids go and they want to go unpaid and stuff, and so we've been doing it basically once in a lifetime, and now we're talking.
Do you know the first case that started this all, or how we got down this?
Well-
I mean, like, we set a policy and
Wait, I don't,
now we
so,
got the one time.
I guess the other thing is, I mean, this is based off of employees, right? Not, this is for salaried people.
And hourly, because they hate when we disapprove it hourly.
We got here, Keith, that there was a need for a meeting and there was a staff member, maybe your kid is going to, your student is going to state track every year and you need extra days off for that. Or maybe they're going to DI every year and they need extra days off for that. And we've got the one time. So we talked about that and talked about students and academics. And then the question, Sue, I think you were there, I think the question arose, well, other people may have events that are just as important to them that aren't educational, so is there a difference in those? It kind of opened a, it opens a door.
Yeah.
So maybe we should, I don't know if it helps people, but maybe we could shorten the time from once in a lifetime to once every 3 years or 5 years.
We're just gonna prove it here anyway.
Well, once in a lifetime is just what
We are gonna-
that's been our practice. It doesn't mean you can't approve it, but with the practice.
The problem with approving is you set a precedent for
Right.
the next one and the next one.
That's
and the
what I'm
next one.
saying, so why don't we,
Which we've already said.
do we have to make a change? Can we just?
no, that's the point. If the board is not so motivated to recommend a change, we don't have to make a change. And I don't know that we have something really good and credible, because we don't wanna change it such that all our staff get off for their kids' events.
Right.
I mean, just to be clear, we don't support that. I'm a big family guy, but we all have to work through that. So that was the request, hey, can I get off for all my kids' stuff? Well, we can't open that up to our staff. There's certain years we'd lose off a lot of our staff, because luckily, we have a lot of our school population in activities, and so a lot of their parents might be teachers, and so that's why the original request, I think, is something that I don't think we can support.
If we had a volleyball team or a basketball team make it to state, we'd be taking the off school to go to Green Bay or Madison. You know, the whole school would go. Well, not the whole school would go, but high school would go. And yeah, somehow we have fan buses, and yeah, that'd be different. But we're talking more individual here. And so what do you want? So,
but as we discussed it, I came up with once in a lifetime is kind of.
So the timeline,
I mean, like, I think we could be a little more like once every.
Okay, once every 20 years, Jerry. Okay.
Once every 5 years.
Once every 20, that's fine. You want
We're not gonna go crazy if once every 5. I mean, things can't happen within 5 years, when they happen in 5 years, once in a lifetime. So I mean, it's like, we're gonna say here's.
What's
your kids could qualify as
No, it's not for kids,
for wrestling.
it's not just for kids, it's for anything that's, I mean, come up in life that you guys.
But that's where it came from, you can confirm.
Right, and so if your child goes every year for 4 years to...
No, I'm saying we have this policy, you get this extra day, you can use it once in a lifetime. And I'm saying that's a little strange, maybe once every 5 years. But it's not for just your kid going something, it's like your son.
Well, yeah, but if your kid is going for 4 years, then once in 5 years isn't going to help.
That's just why I wasn't trying to solve that problem.
And well, that was the problem that started all.
I understand.
So if somebody has a second in a lifetime opportunity and wants to bring it to us, we will evaluate that.
Yeah.
What could be just your best friend gets married?
You know,
I'm sorry?
It could be just your best friend gets married, and you want to begin
Then
a
you should,
ceremony.
then, that's why I'm saying, it's very hard for me to decide what is qualifying one. I mean, sometimes to me, I wouldn't know if I would, so to speak, waste my, but that's not for me to decide. If somebody presents it and that's what they want to do, then that's their.
That's right. We don't judge the value of
The
the
value of
thing.
the thing.
I just want to pick it. I'm saying once every 5 years makes a lot more sense than once in a lifetime.
how long have we had this policy in place? Not 5 years yet, right?
This policy?
This was before you got here.
No, Kyle brought
This
this up.
policy's been, we've had personal days for 6 years, I think.
But,
Because in the past, they were just taking sick days and just calling it sick. That's not right.
No.
the policy with the.
The once in a lifetime, that's when we had people coming forward and saying, well, the 2 personal days not working for me, and they come forward, and then we said once in a lifetime is kind of the term we came up with, but now we're getting.
And now
more
we're doing
once in
that
a-
on the fire.
Where I was going with that question
Yeah.
is, do we, I don't want to kick the can down the road, but what if we not take action right now? And then once we get to a point where we have a lot of staff members coming to you to say, I've used my once in a lifetime per that policy. And then do we want to think about it then? Because I don't know if we've all exhausted yet.
Well, why don't you, we can table all this and not do anything. It'd be nice to see what this Sturgeon Bay use and what this Southern Door do, what their policy does. So, I mean, we're not the only school that has this issue. See what other places do instead of just trying to split the baby ourselves.
Southern Door allows you to take as many unpaid as you want, and that's causing problems down there. Gibraltar has paid time off, and it's causing problems for them because people are taking off for a week or 2 at a time, and then they're having trouble with subs and teaching the students. So we have 2 personal days. I think we just keep going with our system we're using, but it was Meet and Confer that brought it here. We talked about last month, no one came up with good language in a month's time, so I think we stick with what we have.
Yeah, so it's gonna come up again next month.
I would agree with that.
With my wife.
But here's the deal, that's why we have that, and I would support what you just said.
It's tough, because there's 180, 190 days in the calendar, you get 2 personal, and then events fall and they fall. You know?
So you can use a personal day to do this, right?
You take a sick day.
Well, yeah, sick day is supposed to be for sick though, not for going on a trip with kids. We all know you're not sick if you're getting on the bus with the students, right? Right?
Well, they take a private car, so they don't spread the disease.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
trash.
I guess, is there a motion one way or the other, or does this die?
Make a motion, we just leave the way it is.
I'll second that.
There is a motion by Warwick, second by Today to retain the staff time off policy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. That concludes the regular business. I will take a motion to convene to executive session.
Make a motion to convene to executive session.
Second.
Motion, Volkman, second, Takmarinsky to convene to executive session. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried at 9 o'clock.
Sandra Lillyroot as the sixth-grade teacher for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Take a motion on this agriculture teacher.
I would move to approve Ann Glowacki as the agriculture teacher for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Motion on the JV softball coach.
Motion to approve Mark Moore as the head JV softball coach.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Make a motion to approve Jeff Cummings as the middle school football coach.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Take a motion on the JV golf coach position.
I'll make a motion to approve having a JV golf coach.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Our next regular meeting is April 17th. That first committee meeting will be April 10th. You'll need a negotiation committee?
Yeah, negotiations, Deb D'Antoine and Ryan Hilbert approached me about setting up a negotiations committee the week after spring break.
Dick, I think you're on the negotiations committee.
Yeah, I can be here.
I am, and somebody else is,
I was there last year.
but I can't remember who.
Just send out a notice and,
Does any day work better for you, or?
the first week of April?
Yeah.
Not really, April 6th, I'm going to be probably gone.
Well, it's a Saturday, we're not meeting on Saturday.
Is that April 6th?
Yeah, I'm not, yeah.
I know I got a funeral,
Could we do the 4th?
but, yeah.
Oh, a couple days when we come back from spring break is,
Oh, let's see here, spring break, come back on the 4th, you come back on the,
we come back on, or we could do the 2nd, I don't care.
2nd of April?
Sure, does that work?
Yeah, let's try that.
I might have to do a couple dates with them
The
to.
communication committee meets on the 2nd, and Ryan is
Oh,
there.
that's right. Okay, so we'll try it with one. I'll work with it. It's going really well. Danny's taken over and it's working really well.
Yeah, throw some dates at me, whatever.
Okay, I'll do some dates at you.
Yeah.
Is there a motion then to adjourn?
To move?
Make a motion to
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried at 10:30 PM.